Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Todd. This is Todd. For today's video, I'm doing a dessert, and that is key lime pie. For this, you're going to need one 250 gram or 8.8 ounce package of Biscoff cookies. You can use regular graham cracker cookies if you would prefer, but I find that using the Biscoff cookies gives a better flavor and tastier crust. You're going to need 56 grams or 4 tablespoons of melted butter. You can use margarine if you would prefer. I just personally prefer and only use salted butter for everything. So for the filling, you're going to need 2 cans of sweetened condensed milk. These are 14-ounce cans. You're going to need 3 egg yolks. You're going to need 180 mils or 3/4 cup of fresh key lime juice. You do not want to use the bottled stuff. And for the topping, it's going to be a simple whipped cream topping. For that, you're going to need 240 mils or 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. You can use imitation if you would prefer. You're also going to need 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar. And you're also going to need 2 teaspoons of the zest to go into the filling, and about 1 teaspoon to 2 teaspoons to put on the top. And for the filling, I am probably, and let me open this up and pull a couple out to show you. For the filling, I'm going to use the smaller ones, or see if I can find one. The ones that are turning a little on the yellower side. I'm going to juice those and use the zest from those for the filling. The greener ones I'm going to use for the zest for the topping. So I don't know if I'm going to use all of these. I just bought 2 pounds because I wasn't sure how many I was going to need, and plus they were on sale for $1 off a bag. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cut up and juiced, and I will bring you back. Okay, so I'm back, and I got everything juiced. I have a little over, almost 1 cup, but there is a little bit of the pulp and seed in here, as my screen for my KitchenAid attachment here fell off and fell right into my juice, so there's probably going to be a little less than what's in here after the pulp and seeds come out. So, and that used almost, I'm going to say 1¼ pounds worth of key limes. So to get started, I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven. I probably should have done that before I juiced everything, so that was already coming up to temp. But I'm doing that now, and that can warm up. The next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is throw my Biscoff cookies into, I would prefer a food processor, but I don't have one of those. I do have a blender, so I'm going to use a blender. And I'm going to go ahead and get this butter melted that I need. And I will be right back. Okay, so I just wanted to bring you back to show you the consistency of what you're looking for. I just put this in my blender for about a minute, and it pretty much turned it into, I'm going to say, the consistency of about brown sugar. That's kind of what you're looking for. If you don't have a blender, or if you don't have a food processor, you could go ahead and use a bag with something to beat it with. That would work just fine. You just probably won't get the same consistency that I have here, which, once again, is totally fine. I got my butter here, had a little bit of an overflow in the microwave, melting it, so I added about an extra teaspoon to that. So that's ready now. So I'm going to go ahead and just pause this and bring you back once I get everything mixed together in my blender. Okay, so I'm back, and I have a 9-inch pie pan here, and I went ahead and just dumped it out. And you are looking for a consistency where if you would put it in your hand, squeeze it, it would stay pretty much together. What you're trying to do is grind it down, bring it back together with the butter, so when you put it in the oven and bake it for a little bit, it will make a crust pretty much. So to get started, I'm going to take something with a flat bottom. This is the closest thing I have with a flat bottom. If you had like a espresso tamper, that would probably work wonders. But I'm going to try and push some of this to the outside. I don't really want a thick bottom. Well, I want a bottom that's a little on the thick side, but not too thick. So I'm going to just tamp this fairly tight on the bottom and get as close as I can to the edge, and if anything falls in, that's fine. I probably could have gone for a little more Biscoff cookies. I don't think this was meant for a deep dish, the recipe that I have, so if you would do a regular one, it should be fine. But it looks like I'm making it work, so go ahead and push that over a little. But this is pretty much what you're going to want to do, and I will bring... Well, actually, I'm going to keep you here so I can show you how I do the edges. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the bottom right there. If the middle's a little thin, which it looks like it's a little thin right there, I'll just take a little from the side where I think there's a little too much and just tamp that in that area and make it a little thicker. And I just screwed that up by doing that, but hey, you can always fix it. Okay, so to do the edges, I'm actually going to take my thumb and go like this all the way around. Not really going for a too tight pack on the edges at this time. But by putting your finger here, if you just go like this, it'd just go everywhere and you won't get anything packed. So I like to kind of go like this and just slowly go around the whole pie pan a couple of times, slowly getting harder or pressing harder as I go. And you will get some that will fall, like right around in here. It's starting to fall back in. That's fine. Okay, so now I'm back at the beginning. I'm gonna kind of use the palm of my thumb right there and press in tighter like this. Okay, so I'm going to call that packed, packed. I'm going to just take something like the blunt end of my knife here, just kind of run it across like this to break off the sides. That's too high. And I'm going to move this out of the way so I can wipe that off into the sink. And now that there's areas like that right there that's fallen off, I'll take a piece. It looks like it has too much butter in that piece, so I'll go ahead and just put some more in there. And now the rest, what's left over that came off of the top, I'm going to just kind of distribute back into the middle of the pie crust. And I kind of like a really thick bottom corner. It's just my preference. If you prefer it to be a little thinner, don't really push as much, oh crap, just don't push as much out to the side. But I'm going to go ahead and pack this down again. And I can tell I have a really thick edge. So I'm kind of happy with that. But I'm going to push this back down. And also, you could use the side of your jar or whatever you're using to go like this. But since I did it that way, I'm not going to. And I'm going to go through and do my edge one last time and use my middle finger and my index finger and give it one really hard push to kind of set it in a little more. And I'm going to just wipe some of this extra off or pat it down. Okay, so right there I'm happy. I'm going to rinse my hands off right quick. And dry them off. And wipe my counter off again. And one last time, I'm just going to scrape this off in the kitchen sink with the blunt end of my knife, because I don't want all this extra on the top. And I'm not really losing much filling by doing this. It's only like maybe a tablespoon worth of filling, so... sorry, pie crust. I've been up since 7:30 this morning and only got like 3 hours of sleep, so I'm a little tired today. But I'm going to go ahead and put this in a 350 degree preheated oven for about 10 minutes. And while that's going, I am going to go ahead and get started on my filling. But first, I'm going to go ahead and get this strained off camera. Okay, so I'm back and I have my stand mixer bowl here, and I'm going to go ahead and start by adding in my sweetened condensed milk, and that is 2 cans. I'm going to grab a rubber spatula right here to get as much out as I can. Now, the original recipe I have originally called for, I think, 21 ounces. I have no use for just 3 ounces of this stuff just sitting around in my fridge. So I went ahead and upped the original recipe's lime juice from 2/3 to 3/4. And I got a little extra, obviously. So I think in the end it's going to come out just fine. But also, then again, the original recipe wasn't for a deep dish, so I'm going to go ahead and just get as much as I can out of those. And I like to rinse my empty cans out before I throw them in the trash or the recycling bin, which you're supposed to rinse them out before you throw them in the recycling anyways, so why not rinse them out if you don't recycle, which, since I live in an apartment complex, they don't offer it. I wish they did. It'd save me so much stuff going in the landfill. Alright, so there's that. I'm going to go ahead and throw the lids off in the sink too. I'm going to go ahead and add in the egg. One of those yolks were busted, but that's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my little strainer here and strain in my lime juice. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the rubber spatula I had that I used for the sweetened condensed milk and just mix it in like this to kind of force the liquid out. Alright, so I think pretty much everything's out of that at this time. I'm going to go ahead and take this over to my stand mixer, get everything mixed together, and bring you back for the next step. Okay, so I am back. I already got my filling all mixed together, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my microplane here, and I am going to go ahead and just zest these lemons. You're only going to want to get just this layer right here. You're not going to want to, like, just that. That's it. Just one go. Because if you get to the pith, it's going to start getting bitter. I'm going to try and get it into this little bowl here. But you're going to want to get the zest from about 3 to 4 of these little limes. And a little secret that I like to do is mix this in with just a little bit of sugar just to kind of grind it together. You don't have to do this part, but since I'm not beating this in with the egg yolks, which would help release the natural aromatics in the lime, and I'm going like this, I would definitely recommend doing something to try and help release the aromatics and the oils in the skin of the lime. So that's why I'm going with the sugar. And I'm not going to use a lot. I'm just going to go with maybe a pinch of granulated sugar. And I have about, I think, 3 or 2 minutes left on the, I got a little left on there. I got about 3 to 2 minutes left on my pie crust, so my alarm might go off while I'm recording, or I just might pause it right here, I think. Okay, so I got my lime zested, and I have my mixture back on in my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can go ahead and use a bowl and a hand mixer. And if you don't have that, you can do it the old-fashioned way with a whisk and everything. But I'm going to go ahead and just take about that much sugar. Not much. Move that off to the side. And I'm just going to use the back of the spoon and just kind of work it in there for about 30 seconds to a minute. And my pie crust has come out of the oven. And it's cooling off just a little bit before I pour my filling in. Okay, so I'm happy with this. Right like that. I'm going to just let that sit for about 1 minute. And I'm going to go ahead and grab my filling out of the mixer and bring it back into the kitchen. Okay, so I'm back and I got my filling here. I'm going to go ahead and just knock that extra filling off and rinse my whisk off to make doing dishes easier a little later. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and take the lime zest. I don't know if it can be picked up on camera, but it's extracted a little bit of the natural oils in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump this right in. And like I said, you don't have to do it this way. You can whip the zest with the egg yolk and it will achieve pretty much the same thing. But I'm going to go ahead and just mix this in by hand with this rubber spatula, and it just gives specks of color, extra flavor, and just a whole bunch of goodness. Alright, I got it mixed in. Now I'm just going to look for any large lumps of zest here. I could go ahead and use a whisk, but I don't want to dirty another dish to wash later. So I'm just going to stir this around like this. Alright, so at this point I'm going to go ahead and grab my pot holder and throw that down, and then grab my other one, as my pie pan is probably still hot as it just came out a couple minutes ago. Okay, so yeah, this is firmed up quite a bit. It probably could have used a little more butter as it's just a little too crumbly, but I think it might end up setting up the rest of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour this into the pie crust. And it looks like I'm going to have just a little too much, but we will see here in a minute. Now you can't really see me pouring it in, but actually looks like I might have just enough filling. So also I think the pie pan's off at a little bit of an angle, but that's good enough right there. And I kind of just shake it around a little bit to kind of get it. Alright, that's just a little too hot to handle. So since my other pot holder is underneath this one, and I'm definitely going to need two to throw this back in the oven, I am going to use my kitchen towel here to pick it up and put it back in the oven. This is going to go back into the oven at the same temperature it was at, 350, for an additional 10 minutes, and that is for the filling here to set up. And at that time I will go ahead and bring you back. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and bring you back tomorrow, as this is going to need to finish setting up in the fridge for about 8 hours minimum. So I will go ahead and just bring you back tomorrow, and I will get the topping and everything done then. Okay, so I'm back, and my pie has been in the fridge overnight. It's been more than 8 hours, but still, overnight it should suffice. Or 8 hours. You could also do it for 3 if you would want to do 3, or you're in a rush to get it done. 3 hours will work, but 8 is recommended for the minimum. So now I'm going to take my powdered sugar and vanilla and just set that off to the side. I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of regular granulated sugar, and I'm going to go ahead and just mix this together real quick. And kind of crush the sugar and the zest of 2 limes together. And I'm going to let this sit for about 5 minutes. And then I will bring you back. Okay, so it's been about 2 to 3 minutes now. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to grab my, don't really know what this is called. It makes whipped cream on the spot. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this into the bottle. Kind of wish this had a little bit of a bigger opening, but can't always get what you want sometimes. These things come in handy when you want whipped cream and you don't feel like doing it the old-fashioned way. This works just as good. And I already got my 1 cup of cream measured out here. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and add in my 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar right quick first. And if you don't have one of these, you can do it with a regular hand mixer with the beaters. Or if your hand mixer has a whisk, you can use that. Or you can do it the really old-fashioned way and just use a whisk and a bowl. Just takes a little time. This way, with one of these, I can do this the minute I pull my trigger right here. So the minute I pull that trigger, I'll have whipped cream. But yet it stays liquid in the jar. At least I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. Maybe it whips the cream the instant I think one of these has CO2 in it. I'm not sure. But you put it in like this and there and put it on here, and then once it's on the jar, you finish screwing this all the way down. I'm going to go ahead and add in my 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Measure that out right quick. Alright. Just realized I didn't shake the bottle, but that's fine. And now I'm going to go ahead and add in the 1 cup of heavy cream. And I'm going to pour in a couple tablespoons extra to compensate for what stuck to the measuring cup. And now I'm going to add the lid back on. Tighten it down pretty tight until I can't anymore. And then I'm going to make sure that's on tight. And I'm just going to shake this for about a minute to get everything incorporated. And then I'm going to let this sit in the fridge for about another 5 minutes to let the granulated sugar dissolve into the mix. And I will bring you back and go ahead and decorate the pie at that time. Okay, so I'm back, and this is set for about 5 minutes. I'm going to give it one last shake, and then I'm going to go ahead and finish tightening this down, which will puncture the end of this and put the charge in the bottle. That wasn't supposed to happen. Put that tip on just a little too tight. I'm going to go ahead and grab one more, just because I lost some of that because I put that tip on too tight, which sprayed some whipped cream everywhere. I'm going to clean that up right quick before I put that other charge in. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to back that off just a little more. I'm going to go ahead and tighten this second charge on now. And I'm going to leave that on there, give it a shake, and I'm going to just do a little test into the, and there you go, some whipped cream. So I think, yeah, there's a little too much pressure in there, so probably shouldn't have put that second one in. So what I'm going to do, instead of just decorating it with this, I'm going to go ahead and just discharge all the whipped cream into a bowl or something and just kind of spread it onto the top of the cake. Mistakes happen. I'll go ahead and just bring you back. Okay, so actually, I'm not going to do that. I haven't used this in forever, and as I was starting to put it into my pan there, I realized that if I pull the trigger lightly, it comes out nice and slow. And I just ran out right there, which is fine. I'll just spread that out and use whatever's in here with a icing spatula. If I can find it. So I'm just going to grab a big icing spatula and attempt to spread this out. In hindsight, I probably should have used a little more heavy cream, but I'm not really going for aesthetics on this. I would have preferred to make it look a little better, but sometimes you just can't get what you want. I'm the only one that's going to be eating this anyways, so it's not like it's going to be for the public or anything, or friends and family. So go ahead and get the last of that spread out on there. Try and make it look as nice as I can. I'm gonna take the stuff off the back of this spatula real quick and kind of get it put back in there since it wanted to come up. Alright, right there is good enough for me. Throw that into the sink. And I'm gonna clean the edge of this up right quick, like that. And now I'm going to grab one more lime as I drop one in the background there. And my microplane here. And I'm going to grate, this really isn't the prettiest one, it's on the riper side, but I'm just going for a little extra zest here. Just to pretty it up a little bit. Sometimes you got to go around and just tap your microplane to get some of the stuff that sticks to the bottom. Go ahead and get the other side of the lemon, or lime I mean. There you go. This is done now. Could I have made it prettier? Most definitely. Is this going to win any awards for decoration or anything? No. But like I said, it's just me going to be eating this. And I would probably do it this way for family too. But I would probably at least try to put a little more effort in with this. I haven't used it in so long, I kind of forgot how to use it. So, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this video up right here. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button. If you enjoy the content I'm putting out, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And as always, thank you for coming along with me on this journey of mine.